You're still wearing that same sour face, huh? This high-end restaurant isn't a place for someone like you. The moment he noticed me, the manager started grinning and immediately began picking on me. Are you washing dishes here? You're a high school graduate at your age and can't even do your job. I doubt anyone would hire you. His mistress laughed along with him, shaking her shoulders mockingly as she made fun of me. I see how it is. Hey, you get out of the customer's entrance. We have $1 million deal with a major construction company coming up. He made a shooing gesture like he was chasing away a stray cat and glanced at me briefly. Nothing had changed since we worked together. If anything, they had both gotten worse. But thanks to that, I could retaliate without hesitation. With anger burning in my chest, I calmly began my counterattack to drag them into the abyss. My name is John West. I work at a construction company. Our company mainly handles primary subcontracting work, receiving projects from major construction firms and distributing the work to secondary subcontractors. I've been the manager of the construction management department for 3 years. Despite the busy schedule, I found my work fulfilling and rewarding. But then, one day, a shocking event occurred. Vice President Smith staged a coup. The CEO, Mr. Anderson, was ousted without having time to prepare for his subordinates' rebellion. Mr. Smith's cunning move was to appoint Mr. Anderson as chairman, a position with no real power for appearance's sake, while he took control of the company as the new CEO. Naturally, the company was in chaos for a while, but many employees were too scared to oppose Smith's strong-arm tactics, fearing they might be next. During this time, Mr. Smith steadily placed his people in upper management. He also brought his son Steve, who was working for another company at the time, and made him the manager of the construction management department directly above me. The worst part was that Steve was even more arrogant than his father. He flaunted his position as the CEO's son, bossing everyone around from the moment he joined. He also openly looked down on employees who graduated from local colleges or high school, boasting about his degree from a prestigious private university. I caught his eye especially because I wasn't a college graduate yet held a managerial position. Ever since he became the manager, it became a daily occurrence for him to harass me, like not passing on important information. If I made even a slight mistake, he hurled terrible insults at me, calling me a high school graduate loser and such. Even so, I enjoyed my work, so I endured these treatments and diligently continued my duties. Then, after a while, a new person joined our company. Her name is Catherine. I heard that she was introduced by Steve and switched to this construction industry from another job because of that connection. Catherine was assigned directly under Steve in the construction management department, making her my subordinate. Today is her welcome party. The atmosphere in the company, where Mr. Smith holds the real power, is somewhat tense, and everyone seems uncomfortable, but the drinking party was proceeding without any trouble. As the drinks flowed, the mood relaxed. I got to go to the bathroom. However, on my way back, I witnessed an unbelievable scene. I couldn't help but peek at the familiar voices coming from behind the hallway shadows. There I saw Steve and Catherine whispering to each other. Hey, let's sneak out together. This party is so boring. Don't be unreasonable. We can't have the guest of honor and the manager missing from your welcome party, can we? The two people saying this were clearly not maintaining the usual distance between a boss and a subordinate. Catherine was leaning on Steve in a way that only lovers would. That's when it hit me. Wait a minute, Steve is married. Does that mean they're having an affair? Before they noticed me, I quickly pulled my face back and hurried back to my seat, still confused. Eventually, they returned as if nothing had happened. Seeing how natural they were, I realized that their relationship hadn't just started yesterday or today. Determined not to get involved, I decided to keep what I had seen to myself. But from then on, Steve often took Catherine out for fieldwork or inspections, leaving their desks empty more and more frequently. Their behavior became so blatant that everyone in the department started to notice, but no one dared to say anything. So, their actions escalated one day when it had become an unspoken rule within the department about their relationship. Catherine made a major mistake in her work. However, the first person Steve scolded was me. Catherine is still not used to the work here. It's your job as her supervisor to support her. Yes, I'm sorry. By the way, when I assigned that task to her, I had repeatedly warned her it's crucial to double-check, so don't send emails to the client on your own. This was because Catherine had made similar mistakes before, but in the end, it seemed she hadn't listened to my warnings at all and once again caused this clerical error through her own arbitrary decisions. Well, it was still true that I had failed to supervise properly. Oh, come on. That's why people with only a high school diploma are useless. I can't understand why someone like you is even a manager. It must be because that idiot former CEO promoted his favorites without any reason. I was instinctively angry at these words, but it was also true that Mr. Anderson liked me. If I clumsily argued back, it would only harm Mr. Anderson's position, so I apologized once more and then went to guide Catherine on her work. Catherine, everyone makes mistakes, but this is the second time you've made this error, right? I believe I told you to take proper notes of what you're instructed to do, I said. Instead of scolding her, I calmly explained. Catherine looked at me with an annoyed expression. Then in a childish, condescending tone, she replied, "Oh, did you say that? Sorry, I just can't remember things from guys I'm not into." As she fiddled with her overly decorated nails and flashy blouse, completely inappropriate for the office, she chuckled mockingly. Even I was taken aback. "Catherine, this is a workplace. It's for working. Your preferences don't matter here. Of course, in your private time, you can feel however you want, but as long as you're being paid, please take your job seriously." I said this a bit more firmly than usual. However, Catherine seemed displeased with this, and the next day, I was called in by Steve, the manager. "Hey you, I heard you said some awful things to Catherine. Poor girl is deeply hurt." I frowned at his words. This morning, Catherine came to work looking more glamorous than usual, and I even saw her making a hair salon appointment instead of working. She didn't seem deeply hurt at all, but that's beside the point. There's a misunderstanding. I just gave her some advice on her work attitude. But Steve glared at me as if I were a pesky bug. "What are you, a mere high school graduate, defying me?" "Fine, I see we need some time to reflect." Steve paused and then smirked. "From today, you're demoted to a regular employee, and Catherine will take your manager position." What? I was utterly stunned by this sudden decision. What is this guy saying? Is he serious? Hey, wait a minute, this is really unacceptable. Besides, Catherine doesn't even understand the work of this department at all. However, Steve, the manager, with his face turning red, yelled back at me, not listening to my objection at all. "Shut up. Shut up. Don't talk like you know anything, you bottom feeder. Do you know who I am? I'm the CEO's son. We're the ones running this company. If you got complaints, then get out." With that, Steve threw the documents that were on his desk at me. "Write your resignation letter right now. If you don't, I'll throw this ashtray next," he said, grabbing the ashtray from his desk. I reluctantly turned on my heel and left his office. Steve's voice seemed to echo throughout the department, and my colleagues looked at me with concern. But amidst the commotion, only Catherine was smirking at me, her eyes filled with a look of mockery and a clear sense of superiority. Seeing her face, I realized that surely Steve had been asked to promote her by his mistress. At that moment, I thought, well, whatever, and felt completely drained. The fact that Steve was using his father's position to privatize the company, Catherine was goofing off without doing the minimum amount of work, and I had to get caught up in their personal drama. All of it was just too ridiculous to bear. If there was one thing I regretted, it was about Mr. Anderson, who had always looked out for me. Once things settled down, I decided to apologize to him properly. Then, I quietly wrote my resignation letter and quit the company abruptly. A few months later, I found a new job at another company in the same construction industry and was busy working every day. ***, today, I was heading to an upscale restaurant for a business meeting with another company. Just before the appointed time, I arrived at the entrance of the restaurant, which had a calm atmosphere with a modern touch. There I encountered two familiar faces for the first time in a while. It was Steve and Catherine, ***. They seemed to notice me too. Steve's eyes widened for a moment but then quickly turned into a sneer, ***. Oh, look who it is. John, the guy we kicked out of our company. Still got that miserable look on your face. What are you doing here? This high-end restaurant isn't a place for a bottom feeder like you," he said, ***. In agreement with her lover's sneers, Catherine chuckled while wearing flashy clothes that were not suitable for business meetings. Oh, maybe this guy is working as a dishwasher here. He's only got a high school diploma at his age, and since he can't do this job, he can't get a job anywhere else, she mocked. Steve, the department manager, gave a murky laugh at Catherine's sarcasm. Yeah, that's right, you're absolutely right. Catherine is not only beautiful but also quick-witted, unlike some loudmouthed high school graduates. Steve added, Oh, Steve, stop it, Catherine said, but the two of them, without any regard for the public, kept flirting and sticking close to each other. They showed no signs of change after several months, but rather seemed to be getting worse. However, Steve took my silent amazement as a convenient interpretation and continued with a twisted smile. Hey, a lowly part-timer like you should be using the back entrance. Get out of the way quickly. We have a $2 million business deal with a major construction company coming up, he said, dismissively gesturing as if shooing away a stray cat. I let out a sigh and responded calmly, Excuse me, but the person you're about to meet for the business deal is me. Steve looked at me with a face that couldn't understand the meaning of my words. Beside him, Catherine also had her mouth open in astonishment. Ignoring the two of them, I continued. Despite claiming this is an important business deal, you didn't even bother to check the name of the person in charge on the other side. Well, Catherine has never checked the contract documents in the first place. But for you, Steve, that's surprising, I said, letting out another small sigh. Still half doubting, Steve snorted. Huh, there's no way a lowly high school graduate could get hired at that major company. I get you're frustrated, but don't lie so blatantly. Typical of the lowly, he said. However, I cut off Steve's words midway. This is ridiculous. What would I gain by lying at this point? Oh, you want proof? Here, let me give you my business card. I said. As I took out my business card from my inner pocket, they snatched it away and stared at it, their faces gradually turning pale. Yes, after leaving that company, I had immediately secured a job at a major construction company. In fact, I had been headhunted by the other party for a long time. They highly valued my years of achievements and experience. Furthermore, I had obtained the challenging architect certification while working, which added to my evaluation. I explained, glancing sideways at them, speechless with astonishment. I added, by the way, that's my old business card before it was reprinted. I have recently obtained my architect certification, and the new ones are being printed. I studied architecture by correspondence at Boston Architecture College, continued studying while working, and obtained my architect certification while at my previous company. What, an architect? Steve muttered. Although Steve used to look down on others as a businessperson in the construction industry, he seemed to understand the difficulty of obtaining the architect license. Responding to his reaction, I gave them a deliberately exaggerated smile. Did you finally believe me? I'm currently in charge of developing a new town for the company, and today was indeed for that business meeting, right? I said. Oh yeah, yes, Steve replied, taking a step forward to subtly intimidate them. I asked, and both Steve and Catherine nodded awkwardly, their faces pale with unease. After a pause, Steve forced a smile on his tense face and said to me, John, you sly dog. If you had told us earlier about your skills, we wouldn't have been so surprised. Honestly, I've always thought there was something different about you compared to the others. Just a moment ago, he was mocking me for being a high school graduate, and now he's spewing insincere praise. It's typical brown-nosing, but the sheer audacity is almost impressive. Catherine, following Steve's lead, plastered a sycophantic smile on her face. Oh, me too. I've always thought you were really smart, John, and actually, you're totally my type. Oh, you're making me blush, staring at me like that. As she swayed her hips suggestively, it seemed like she was trying to flirt, but to me, it just looked like she was doing a weird dance. The moment I revealed my true identity, their attitudes changed completely. I guess they got into an affair because they're so similar. Holding back another sigh, I answered without unnecessary comments, "We shouldn't waste any more time. Shall we start the meeting?" They looked surprised but quickly nodded. They probably thought I'd sabotaged the meeting after being kicked out of the company, but I had a specific purpose in saying that. Once I sat down, I immediately asked them to present the contract estimate. Here's the estimate. We appreciate your consideration. Ignoring Steve's overly humble demeanor, I reviewed the document. My eyes stopped at the materials cost section. This was indeed clever. "Excuse me," Steve called out, confused by my sudden pause. I looked straight at him and asked, "Are these figures for the materials cost accurate?" I didn't miss the momentary flicker in Steve's eyes. This confirmed my suspicion. "Catherine," I continued, "we've received a tip that you have been inflating material costs and embezzling the difference. I'll ask again, are these figures correct?" "Well, that is?" Without raising my voice, perhaps the intensity of my demeanor pressured her, causing Catherine to become visibly nervous. While closely watching their behavior, I feigned ignorance and tilted my head. "This is strange. The estimates we provided earlier differ slightly in every category. These are small discrepancies that are easy to overlook individually, but when summed up, they amount to a considerable figure, don't they? Is that so?" The two of them, uneasy under my questioning, fidgeted and exchanged glances. Eventually, unable to withstand the pressure, Steve slammed his hand on the table and, raising his voice as if to intimidate me, shouted, "That's a baseless accusation. We haven't done anything wrong." With that, he hurriedly left his seat, leaving the estimate documents behind. "Hey, wait, don't leave me here." Catherine, left behind, also shouted and chased after Steve, leaving the store. Quietly watching them leave, I casually made a phone call. I'd arranged to meet the person on the other end the following day and put the remaining estimate documents into my bag. The next day, I had taken a pre-approved day off and was visiting someone's house. After identifying myself through the intercom at the gate, the owner of the house came out to greet me. "Mr. Anderson," as I mentioned over the phone. I nodded my head, and Mr. Anderson nodded once. "Ah, you did well. Thank you." Yes, it was Mr. Anderson, who had been ousted by Mr. Smith, who had told me that Steve and Catherine might be inflating the cost of materials. A while back, I had visited this house to report that I had left that company, found a new job, and obtained my long-desired architect license. I also mentioned that my new company had a scheduled business meeting with Steve regarding the new town development project. It was then that Mr. Anderson asked me to investigate whether their suspected overcharging was true. Here's the estimate. Once inside the room, I handed Mr. Anderson the estimate I had received from Steve the day before. Mr. Anderson carefully checked the problematic areas, sighed slightly as if exhausted, then straightened up and nodded his head to me. "You really did a great job. I'm grateful. I knew it was unfair to ask you, who had already left the company, but I couldn't obtain conclusive evidence with my resources." Hearing the regret in his voice, I quickly shook my head. "Please don't say that. I'm the one who should be thanking you. You helped me so much, but I ended up leaving the company. I took this on because I wanted to be of some help, at least this time. Back when I was studying to obtain my architect license, Mr. Anderson provided me with helpful reference books and adjusted my work schedule to accommodate my studies. I believe I was able to obtain my architect license thanks to those days." Mr. Anderson eventually looked down at the estimate and muttered, "Thank you. Leave the rest to me." Then he smiled warmly and said once again, "Congratulations on passing the exam. I always believed you could do it, John." "Thank you." I accepted his words with gratitude. Mr. Anderson looked at me for a moment, and then his smile turned slightly wistful. "My true desire is for you to come back, but at the same time, I think you can go even further in that company and fully utilize your talents," he said. He gave a small chuckle, admitting he was being a bit selfish. Mr. Anderson must be planning to use the estimate I handed over to take down Smith's faction quickly. While the Smith family has been running wild in that company, Mr. Anderson hasn't been quietly retired. He's been gathering allies among employees who opposed Mr. Smith and former executives who were pushed out, secretly preparing to reclaim control. I had considered returning to that company myself, but I apologize for any inconvenience. However, I want to test my abilities in a new place. After changing jobs and achieving my dream, I became more ambitious. I wanted to see how far I could go. Mr. Anderson nodded with a smile and said, "Yeah," as I quietly finished speaking. "That's fine. It's your life and I have my life to live too. Even in my old age, there's still much I can do. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of dreams you'll build from now on." I clasped his offered right hand firmly with both of mine. His hand, marked by various joys and struggles, was very warm. I promised myself I would never forget that warmth. After that, Mr. Anderson reported the embezzlement case to the police. As a result, the manager was arrested as the ringleader. Catherine was also sent to the prosecutor as an accomplice. To my surprise, further investigations revealed additional crimes by Steve, the manager. He had used similar methods in his previous job to inflate claims and pocket the difference. No wonder he seemed so skilled at it. I felt oddly satisfied understanding this, but Steve's actions became a significant scandal as he had been moving from company to company committing these crimes. Steve was rearrested and is expected to receive a prison sentence. Mr. Smith was forced to resign due to intense pressure both inside and outside the company, taking responsibility for his son's failures. As a result, Mr. Anderson was reinstated as the new CEO. I heard employees cried at his powerful declaration to rebuild the company from its foundation. It may take some time for things to settle, but I'm confident that Mr. Anderson will turn the company into a healthier organization. Meanwhile, I've been busy with the development of the new town. We plan to build high-rise condos with a theme of coexistence with nature and the city center. I'm in charge of the design from scratch. Together with my team, we're exploring better design ideas. Incidentally, we received a new estimate and have formally signed a contract with Mr. Anderson's company. Every day, I savor the joy of shaping my dreams and those of my team into reality.
All right, everyone's presentations are done. Nick, the manager, said as he tried to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me and began to speak. There's apparently someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. His lackey, Mike, of course, agreed with Nick. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I started to shut down my computer. I noticed that an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking, there's no point in speaking up, no one will listen, I went home quietly. The next day, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! Is something wrong? Mike looked at the screen with him. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Knowing the reason for Mike's distress, I thought to myself, serves them right. My name is Adam. My mother passed away when I was in the 9th grade, and I was raised by my father. Well, you could hardly call it being raised. After my mother passed, my father changed. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and though he still went to work, he squandered our living expenses on horse racing. Because of that, I had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, I went to the convenience store with bills in hand that couldn't be auto-deducted from my father's account. Even though I endured it because I didn't want to be alone, I reached my limit in my second year of high school and dropped out. I found a live-in job at a distant inn. Thank you for everything. The day I left home, my father, still staring at the TV, spoke. Take care. That was our last conversation. Back then, 18 wasn't the age of majority, so I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide my place of employment. Yet, my father never visited me even once. I kept working just to survive, and before I knew it, I was 42. Years of hard work paid off, and I was transferred to the headquarters. I was thrilled to be recognized by the company, as I thought I'd be working in the field until retirement due to my lack of formal education. Listen up. Our work can change the future of our employees. Don't drag us down. On my first day after the transfer, Nick, dressed in an expensive suit, spoke sternly. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in a prominent tourist destination, known so well that everyone in the state could sing its commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 locations within the state. But that was long ago. Due to financial difficulties and aging facilities, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original establishment remained. I was prepared to lose my job anytime, but now there was a glimmer of hope. With the rise of social media, the tourist area where the inn was located started gaining attention again. Depending on how hard the sales department, where I was transferred, worked, we could either thrive or be forced to give up this prime location to the new hotel chains continuously popping up. For Nick, who had switched careers from another industry to strengthen our sales, this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. I understood why he had to be strict. I will do my best. Nick sneered at my enthusiastic declaration. Did you not hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening carefully. Out of habit from years of customer service, I apologized reflexively, though I had no idea what had offended him. Someone was watching me with a smirk. In this department, there are those who are expected to excel and those who have been shoved here because they have nowhere else to go. You are the latter. It was Mike, the section chief. He's 7 years younger, at 35. But he was called to headquarters much earlier than I was and had been moving around within the headquarters ever since. I'm not jealous, but I can't accept that he's my boss. Graduating from a prestigious university, he has an unusually high pride and caused many problems as a newbie, making things very difficult for me when I was the front desk leader. When I found out Mike was transferred to the sales department a month before me, I was disheartened. Mike is right. With just a middle school diploma, there's not much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results. As if I didn't exist, Nick remarked, I'm thirsty. Mike eagerly ran to the coffee maker. It seems Mike is Nick's lackey. I regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, wishing I had stayed on site forever. Send a direct mail to every company on this list by the end of the day. Nick only assigned me tasks that even a new graduate could handle. What? There are over 1,000 companies. You want me to send to all of them by today? Yes, if you and your fellow misfits split the work, even those with nowhere else to go should finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing away expressionlessly. They were worn out from customer service, only thinking about leaving on time, or were women reassigned after having children, with zero motivation for work. Even Sam, a new graduate from the same university as Mike, who was supposed to be among the expected achievers, had no enthusiasm for the job, having joined the company wanting to do customer service. I don't care what they say, I plan to quit anytime, he said. Only Nick and Mike were highly motivated, making all the decisions between the two of them. I originally only wanted to work at the inn to survive and had no particular attachment to this job. I swallowed my words, thinking I had no right to reprimand them. About a month after the transfer, Nick told us with a frustrated look. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan exclusive for one group per day. Originally, Mike and I were supposed to come up with it, but our president, Mr. Thompson, insists on hearing everyone's opinions. So, you all get a chance. As Nick explained, Mike began handing out prints. Make sure not to embarrass Nick. If your ideas are half-baked, you'll have to redo them. It seemed that they had printed his handwritten notes by Mr. Thompson, which included several questions and a section for free responses. It made sense why Nick had to seek our input, given that all responses had to be submitted to Mr. Thompson. We were given a week to think about it, and a meeting was scheduled to compile our ideas. My plan is to let guests enjoy both the old and modern America. Nick began the presentations. Guests would watch a master confectioner at a nearby traditional sweet shop make sweets in front of them. The welcome drink would be premium tea in a bottle. Nick's plan was certainly attractive. After his presentation, Nick called on us to present in the order we were seated. Just as I stood up for my turn. All right, everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me. There's someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. He was likely talking about me. I joined the company as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. That was 20 years ago, so Nick and Mike probably had no chance to know until recently. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. After that, Nick kept creating opportunities to solicit everyone's opinions, purposefully excluding me from speaking. The meeting unexpectedly heated up and went past the scheduled end time. A few people asked to leave, and the discussion continued with the remaining few. Still here? Normally, you'd leave in that situation. Though I had no attachment to the job initially, hearing kind words from customers made me want to make them happier. For someone like me, with nowhere to go, the inn was my home and customer service was my life. I felt pathetic about my current self. I'm leaving. I left the conference room and started shutting down my computer. I noticed an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking no one would listen to what I had to say anyway, I quietly went home. The next day, while preparing the DM as instructed, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. In his haste to stand up, he hit his knee on the desk. He stared at his computer screen, his face pale. "Nick! What's wrong?" Mike, thinking he should be the first to rush over, approached Nick while still wearing his coat. He peered at the screen with Nick. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Who is responsible for this company? Nick, more irritated than ever, asked, and Mike answered without checking. Probably Sam. Sam wasn't there because he was attending a morning training session for new hires. Nick gave up on getting angry and returned his gaze to the screen. They were looking at an email that arrived right after the end of the working day yesterday. Apparently, no one, including me, had checked it before leaving. The email was from a large company that used us for their annual employee trips. The president and executives of that company also frequently used our services personally. President of the company, Mr. Mason himself, had declared that neither he nor his company would ever use our services again. Well, some companies cancel their employee trips or stop using our services due to financial struggles. Let's just move on. Mike kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing why Mike was so agitated, I quietly watched their interaction. Do you know how much revenue we get from that company? We can find other guests to fill the rooms, but we'll lose the banquet costs, gift shop revenue, rental car fees, and more. Moreover, the gifts were supposed to be prepared by the traditional confectionery shop involved in Nick's proposed plan. If it's known that we incurred such a huge loss at this critical time, Nick's position in the company would be jeopardized. Nick took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself. All right, Mike. Go to New York right now and apologize to Mr. Mason. What? You're coming with me, right? I have urgent work to do. I trust you, which is why I'm entrusting this to you. Please. Mike, believing Nick's sincerity, agreed with a determined look on his face, saying, yes. That's Nick for you. Even if Mike went to apologize, Nick would shift all the blame onto him if the client didn't change their mind. Well, it was Mike's fault to begin with, so it served him right. About 3 hours later, Sam answered a call from somewhere and repeatedly apologized, saying, I'm very sorry. Everyone watched to see what was happening. After ending the call, he informed Nick with a weary tone. When Mike arrived at the client's company, he only made things worse, further infuriating Mr. Mason. He was demanding, get his boss here immediately. It was no wonder Sam was exhausted, dealing with such a call right after returning from training. What is that idiot doing? All right, Adam, you're coming with me. If sacrificing Mike didn't work, then I must be next. Normally, I'd want to refuse at all costs, but I saw an opportunity in this situation. If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to join you. I immediately followed Nick, and we flew to New York. When we introduced ourselves at the reception, it became clear how serious the situation was. As the receptionist personally escorted us to the president's office. Angry voices leaked through the door, making both Nick and me uneasy. Excuse me. I'm Nick, the supervisor. I understand my subordinate has caused you trouble, and I deeply apologize. Nick, with his experience in the corporate world, knew enough to offer an apology before excuses. However, his customer service skills left much to be desired. I sighed as I saw Mike trembling like a small dog in the corner of the room. "What kind of training are you giving your subordinates?" Mr. Mason glared at Nick with a red face. The intensity of his gaze made even Nick take a step back. Regrettably, I joined this company only 2 years ago and was unaware of Mike's issues. I should have identified his shortcomings sooner. Indeed, I should have realized sooner. No sensible person would come to apologize and then give a lengthy presentation on the drawbacks of not using their in. Nick froze, his mouth slightly open. Suspecting the worst, I picked up the documents that had fallen to the floor. It seemed Mike hastily prepared these documents on the plane, listing the disadvantages. Disadvantage 1: if you change the venue for the company trip, employees might suspect it's for cost-cutting reasons, leading to a negative impression. Reading it aloud half-jokingly, Nick snatched the papers from my hand and checked the contents with a furious expression. Among the stack of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copy machine. I felt a pang of dread, hoping he hadn't shown the receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had to do this? I'm very sorry. Faced with the dire situation, Nick must have thought there was nothing left to do but apologize. In a voice smaller than I'd ever heard from him, he uttered words of apology. He said, "I'm a Harvard graduate. I don't believe I said anything wrong." "Mike, what have you done?" Forgetting his plan to pin the blame on Mike, Nick yelled loudly, even in front of Mr. Mason. "I didn't do anything wrong." "You're still saying that? Look at him." Mike pointed at me with a shaking hand. "I was assigned to headquarters in my 20s and now I'm a section chief. This guy only made it to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done proves I was right. So why are we losing the contract?" Having said his piece, Mike collapsed to the floor. "Of course. You were sent there because you had nowhere else to go." Mike never expected to hear such words from someone he looked down upon. He lunged at me, and Nick hurriedly stepped in to stop him. "Mr. Thompson told me Mike is a quick thinker, and to take good care of him." There's no way he was pushed aside. "Don't make things worse here. He didn't say quick thinker, he said only quick-witted, didn't he?" I don't remember that part." I recalled the many troubles Mike caused when he was a newbie. When Mike was on the front line, his pride was so high that he never apologized to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. It brings both good and bad situations. If the front staff or housekeepers made mistakes, or the cleaning company didn't properly clean a room, one had to apologize to the customers regardless of personal fault. Mike, in such situations, would never apologize, insisting he wasn't at fault. This often angered customers, and as the front desk leader, I frequently had to apologize on his behalf. He caused complaints and disrupted operations, which is why he was quickly moved to headquarters. In departments where he didn't interact directly with customers, his quick thinking was beneficial and things went well. But it seemed his flaws were starting to show. Corporate reservations are supposed to be entered into the system by the sales representative. But a quick check yesterday revealed that more than 10 items were missing from the client's reservation. The handover document clearly stated what needed to be prepared. Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do we have to give them special treatment? Filling rooms near the banquet hall, setting up all the food in advance. Specifying the brand of wine, they're too demanding. No wonder he always angered customers, I thought, feeling a headache coming on. Grouping them in rooms near the banquet hall is for our benefit too. It makes it easier for the staff to set up beds and serve breakfast since everyone's schedule is synchronized. As for the other requests, Mr. Mason suggested them to lighten our load. I didn't know that. Nick finally seemed to realize that Mike was the one who had angered the client. What did you say to them? I just told them we wouldn't give them special treatment anymore. We shouldn't waste effort on things that don't bring in money. I was utterly exasperated at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands. But carrying over successful practices from past stays makes customers feel remembered and enhances their experience. Good memories encourage repeat visits. That's part of our job. I looked down at Mike, who was sitting on the floor. In our job, nothing is a waste. Mr. Thompson likely moved you to the sales department, hoping you'd finally understand this. How do you think he feels now that you failed to meet his expectations? Mike, tears in his eyes, fled the president's office. I was amazed he still hadn't apologized. You have it tough, Adam. It's okay, we're all employees of the same company. I deeply apologize for this disrespectful incident. Especially after all the care you've shown us. If it weren't for you, Adam, I really would have stopped staying here. When I heard you were moving to the sales department, I was willing to reconsider if you handled it. Seeing us talk so amicably, Nick's face contorted. Do you two know each other? Adam's service is excellent. I always requested him specifically. Normally, we don't accept specific staff requests, but we made an exception for Mr. Mason, adjusting my shifts accordingly. He had personally stayed at our hotel just before my transfer, and during casual conversation, I mentioned, I'm moving to the sales department soon. If I hadn't told him then, things could have been much worse. Please continue to take care of us. I look forward to it. On the return flight, Nick awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours. Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him for a single beer. Nick might try to pin everything on Mike and avoid any consequences. While pondering this, a startling fact came to light. Nick, the tea bottles for the plan have arrived. I handed Nick a bottle labeled with our inn's name. They look good. What are you talking about? These are plastic bottles. I had assumed we would use the trendy, high-end bottling tea. But what arrived were ordinary plastic bottles of tea with customized labels. The only unique aspect was the label, which had the inn's name, making it look customized. Upon further investigation, I discovered that a substantial amount of money was set to be paid to the tea company. It was priced like bottling tea. Does this plastic bottle really cost $100 each? The tea inside is specially blended for us. The extra cost is for that. Wouldn't it be better to use another tea company? Or is there a specific reason we must use this one? As Nick continued to make excuses, I showed him a printed email. I informed the tea company's president, Mr. Mitchell, that we discovered irregular payments and he confessed. He said you two were high school classmates and planned to split the extra money. That idiot. Why did he confess? That's not important. You should worry about yourself, this could turn into a police matter. Opening the bottle cap, I suggested. How about calming down with this tea? It supposedly has a relaxing effect. Nick drank the tea frantically. In the following days, decisions were made about their fates. Mike was reassigned to the General Affairs Department, with no chance of transfer or promotion, as per Mr. Thompson's orders. As for Nick, since the payment to the tea company hadn't yet been made, he narrowly avoided legal trouble. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further complications, Nick submitted his resignation. Rumor has it that connections between HR departments have made it difficult for him to find new employment. Even though it was good to have those two gone, something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united in refining the 50th anniversary plan. In the end, my plan was adopted. We collaborated with the Tourist Information Center to provide personalized guides. The plan, tailored to the number of guests, was truly special for the 50th anniversary. Hey, is Adam's family coming to stay? I immediately booked that special plan for my family. Sam noticed it on the reservation list and quickly picked up on it. Yes, I'm inviting my father. That's great. I might invite my parents too. I lacked the courage to face my father just as Adam. But here, with the confidence Mr. Mason praised, I felt ready. The 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reconnect with my father. I hoped to bring back the days when we could laugh together as we once did.